Broadcasting live from the luxury suite on the plain of Kylum, this is Tap Tap Concede. Hello everybody, Graham here.
Cameron here.
And Nelson here.
And we decided to be broadcasting from the luxury suite because it's the last one we're recording in 2019 and we wanted to feel good about ourselves.
Yeah,
we deserve this.
Stretch note.
We're dug in here like an Alabama tick.
We're getting kicked out for sure next week.
Yeah, absolutely. We've gotten an eviction notice.
3 eviction notices.
Due to lack of remittance of payments.
I didn't show you the first 2.
They're going to have to take us out of here by force.
But I think they're planning on it.
Occupy the luxury suite.
I'm taking that ottoman with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep staring out the window like until my body is pulled backwards away from it. That's my plan.
Just cramming, like tear open the fridge, the mini bar, and just start cramming macadamia nuts in your mouth while they're like the bouncer is dragging you out by your ankles.
Pockets overflowing with travel-sized shampoos.
You guys get dragged out of the luxury suite, and like it was standing just outside the door is like the hotel manager standing beside Gonti, Lord of Luxury, who's just like has his arms crossed.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the manager is like, I'm very sorry, sir. I don't know how they got in there.
Right. And as you get thrown out onto the street, your bag gets thrown out after you, and there's just a sound of shattering glass as all the light bulbs that you stole from the luxury suite shatter, completely ruining your suitcase.
On tonight's episode of Dice Friends, we're going to take you through what happens exactly to
That sounds amazing. Yeah.
Cameron, Nelson, and Graham after they leave the luxury suite.
Yeah, no, today on Tap Tap Concede, we're going to be last episode, which I sadly missed. I wanted to be here, but had to catch up on getting the last episodes of Road Quest prepped. We were looking back at 2019, and so for this episode, we were looking forward to 2020. Make your own 2020 vision jokes as need be, and what we know is coming, and then what we hope to see coming forward in 2020. Before we get to that, of course, a reminder that this show is brought to you by Card Kingdom, our very good friends at Card Kingdom. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR for all of your Card Kingdom needs. Theros, which we'll be talking about shortly, is already up for pre-order, so hit that up. Let them know we sent you, and if you say Loading Ready Run sent me button, please, they'll give you a little 1-inch button, and I believe currently it is you were once upon a timing wrong. Finally.
It's a strong time to order.
I think both of you and Wheeler all independently suggested that at different times. So
Possibly.
I'm glad that one's finally out there.
Has anyone ever resolved Once Upon a Time correctly?
Brad Nelson stopped me from doing it incorrectly at the Chalice.
Oh, really?
It was really funny. I wish we'd had table mics. Because I was like, all right, end of your turn. He's like, stop. Don't.
I beg you.
You may
please.
not
Draw. He's like, I promise I'm not trying to get you. Like, draw your card first. See if you got what then you'll have more information. Then you do it.
But
and I was like, oh, that makes more sense. Okay, cool. Yeah.
I did my opponent's upkeep when I didn't know if they had Spell Pierce, and I absolutely had to resolve it. So that in Pioneer, like the first month when it was legal. So I felt like that was a correct decision. It was like a mull to 6 or whatever. I'm like, okay, but this has to be a land. And if they play Island and go, I'm not going to wait until I draw. Like I'm just gonna pop it off. Or I guess if I had waited, then I should wait until I draw a card. But if they had the Spell Pierce, I was going to lose.
Can you? Because Once Upon a Time is an instant.
Yeah.
Can you cast Once Upon a Time? Okay, play an island.
Yeah.
Cast Once Upon a Time for free as your first first spell of the game.
So far, yes.
Hold priority.
Yeah.
And brainstorm.
Yeah, sure.
Aha!
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do both wrong at the same time.
Yeah. The turn 1, 7 in hand. Like,
perfect. Anyway,
that play might actually be good because how would it resolve? You brainstorm.
Oh my God!
Then you
two
put
wrongs
2
make a
back.
right?
You put 2 back you don't like. Then you see 3 more. You get 1 of them back. But regardless, the 2 cards from your brainstorm that you put back,
it didn't seem terrible.
At least one of them's going on the bottom. It's like a shuffle as far as brainstorm's concerned. So, yeah,
crack this whole thing wide open.
2 wrongs.
Yeah, 2 wrongs make a right.
We love it.
Wow. Okay. Meta solved.
And everything we do here is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, please subscribe. Thank you. So let's crack a pack before we start talking about 2020. Let's look to some distance into the past. Wow, that went all the way back.
20.
20. Nice. 2, 4. That was amazing, actually. Thematic. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20. What's this? It is from 2019. It is Guilds of Ravnica. Look at that. Ooh. I think my coffee cup is where I need to put the card down. This was given to us by William at GP Vancouver 2018. Thank you, William.
Thanks, William.
I've definitely been drafting a bunch of the guilds on Arena when they've been the returning the returning things. It's just value to do so because I have complete sets, so I just get a lot more
straight gold,
get more gems.
Sometimes gems.
How close can you get to like a full entry fee? Can you get like a quarter or a third or something?
Not really. So an entry fee in gems is 750,
right?
And you get
40 per rare. Or something,
you get 20 gems per rare or 40 per mythic.
Okay. So,
but
maybe you get 200 if you're like
it's a fair swack, right?
Yeah,
It helps.
Then you only maybe need to get to like 3 or 4 wins in order to chain.
Yeah, and you can definitely weigh that against. You can be like, so do I take like a sideboard card that doesn't matter because there's no sideboards in Best of One, or do I just take this rare that I'm not going to run but is 20 gems?
Right. That's cool.
So
I just like Guilds of Ravnica a lot as a ranked option.
Me too.
Because if you're trying to climb up, you're trying to mythic grind, just like Guilds of Ravnica games are fast, and the drafts are fast.
It's nice. First up, we have Passwall Adept. It's a 1 and a blue for a 1/3, and for 2 and a blue, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Definitely won a few games in the last cycle of ranked draft with just having 5 mana up, play Passwall Adept, activate it on this guy, hit you.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Pseudo haste effects, gotta love them.
Yeah.
Maximize Velocity. Speaking of haste, single red mana for a sorcery. Target creature gets +1/+1 and haste until end of turn and jumpstart.
Surprisingly powerful.
The creature
card.
doesn't get jumpstart. The card has jumpstart. So
I like it more in constructed than limited, but you want to play it maybe one of in the Beam Splitter deck.
Yeah.
The very fast Izzet deck is a heck of a thing. Boy, you know what I love in Dimir? This guy, Wishcoin Crab. 3 and a blue. It's a 2/5. Oh,
that's all.
That's it.
That's all you get. But what more do you want?
Quab.
It blocks really well in this set. It's
entire
nice.
limited games fall apart when this guy's in play.
All your pinching wishes shall be granted.
Yes.
I love the flavor text.
Mostly pinching related ones, yeah. Defensible first pick common Healer's Hawk. Very relevant in the Boros deck. Has he got little bottles of he does. He's got healing potions.
I believe
Really
they're
more
called
of an eagle. With
Yep.
that beak.
Yeah.
Is hawk like an umbrella term to mean all birds of prey as well? No,
they're
it's a
their own
specific
thing.
species.
They're-
Yeah,
like
okay.
I'm not an ornithologist. I'm mainly just quipping here.
I got my dad a book, an illustrated book for Christmas called The Guide to the Dumb Birds of North America. And it's very well illustrated, and they do have the proper common names of all these actual birds, but surmounting them in much larger text is the joke names,
Right.
such as the pileated wood effer, which is just a woodpecker.
Right.
But they have a section of the book on the murder birds,
Oh.
such as, hawks, eagles,
falcons.
yeah. Like the goddamn American bald eagle is just what it's called.
Right,
It's just
right.
this giant bird. All the descriptions are very funny too. But if a creature with flying is a problem, we have this Crushing Canopy. 2 and a green for an instant. Destroy a target creature with flying or target enchantment, but not artifact.
because trees can't blow up artifacts.
Yeah.
What's even going on in this art? There's a bug. It
I
has
think
purple
it's
wings. Sorry, go ahead.
It seems to be escaping an elemental of some kind.
Oh, one of those Dimir thingies. Yeah, that makes sense. Severed Strands. You play it. You do play it. 1 and a black sorcery. Sack a creature as an additional cost, and you gain life equal to the sacrifice creature's toughness, and you destroy target creature an opponent controls.
I'm going to go ahead and call a reprint of this in Theros.
Oh, they really should, right?
Right? Because, fates.
Yeah. That would be good.
There could be some great art from Theros for Severed Strands, for sure.
Muse Drake, 3 and a blue for a 1/3 with flying. ETB, draw a card. Perfectly playable.
Yep.
Gateway Plaza. It's a Rupture Spire. Yeah. Except it's also a gate. Enters tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you sacrifice it unless you pay 1, and you can tap to add any color of mana. I try not to run it, honestly.
1 is okay
because it's really...
If you're splashing.
Sometimes, like you said,
I wouldn't play it in a 2-color deck.
Sometimes these games can go very quickly, and if you have to take a whole turn off to do this, it's like...
Never play it in Boros, but if you end up Sultai, like you were Dimir, but then you couldn't pass that kill spell or something, and you need some fixing.
Speaking of that kill spell...
Statues. What yeah.
Deadweight. Single black mana for an enchantment or a enchanted creature gets -2/-2. Boy, do a lot of relevant creatures die to this. Undercity Uprising. 2 black-green for a sorcery. Creatures you control gain death touch until end of turn. A little awkward at sorcery speed. But then, target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. So your 1/1 discard rat gets to actually kill something enormous. And then you have some reasonable attacks, I guess.
Yeah, I always felt this should have been better.
I thought my initial impression of this card was going to be very good as well.
Yeah.
And then it was just a last pick.
Yeah, I rarely, if ever, see it play.
My first draft of this format, I think I had 4, and I was like, oh.
Well, I think the Golgari
not
deck
good.
just winds up with death touch creatures anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of good death touch creatures in the set, and you just play them. Like the Noxious Grudian, the Hired Poisoner, and the
Gorgon.
The Gorgon, thank you. You just play those anyway, because they're great.
Yeah.
You don't need to give them extra death touch.
I just also thought that like having an effect that gives all your creatures death touch might be equally powerful, or like on the same plane as like giving them all +2/+2, so that it like forces an alpha strike. And then it's just like, no, if you like alpha with a bunch of death touch things, your opponent just gets to trade where they want to trade, and then
or it's like
they just take damage and then they get to alpha you.
Or it's like all my teeny creatures get death touch, attack, and they're like cool.
Okay,
I take 4.
4. Yeah, take 7, whatever it is. Yeah, they don't care.
Lava Coil is next. 1 and a red sorcery. Deals 4 damage to a creature, and if that creature would die, exile it. Very relevant, especially against the Golgari deck.
Well, we found our first pick.
Yep. You mentioned him earlier. It's Beam Splitter Mage.
Oh, yeah, unless you want to do this.
Yeah. Blue-red for a 2/2 Vidalcan Wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery that this is important, that targets only Beam Splitter Mage, if you control 1 or more other creatures that spell could target, then you copy the spell and it targets that creature as well.
I have definitely played in games where my opponent has targeted Beam Splitter Mage with a...
like a fight card?
Yeah. And then the fight happens.
Yeah.
And there's a long pause.
And then they concede?
Yeah, then they concede.
Yeah. Yeah. Because even targeting a creature your opponent controls is still not targeting only Beam Splitter Mage.
The saddest part about that story is just that, like, why did they even want their Beam Splitter Mage to fight? Like, you had a 1/1 or something they could kill, and they thought they were killing your 1/1 for free, I guess?
Yeah, they wind up 2-for-1ing themselves when they were hoping to, like, 2-for-2 themselves.
3-for-2 you, I guess. Yeah. The other one is is it called Gravitic Punch?
Yes. Yeah. That's the one I usually see.
Yeah, because it targets the creature and the player.
Right.
So there's still 2 targets on there. But you could take Beam Splitter Mage and wheel what's it called?
The haste one.
We maximize velocity.
Right. The best one is just maximize altitude, right? Just like jump your team and then Sure Strike. Yeah. Sure Strike is the killer.
If you need a flyer, though, we've got Crawl Swarm. 4 and a black for a 4/1 insect warrior with flying. 2 and a black, discard a creature, return target. There, it doesn't say target. The word is not there. Let me try that again. 2 and a black, discard a creature. Return Crawl Swarm from your graveyard to your hand. Let's use the take where I got that right.
Thanks, Heather.
This show is not edited. And our rare is Assassin's Trophy.
Ooh. Muy picante.
Very good.
We also got a
Golgari Guildgate and an Elf Knight.
All right, you're on Arena.
My favorite play, Golgari Guildgate.
Yes.
You're drafting this pack on Arena. You have all the cards. Do you want a trophy or a lava coil? I think this is actually medium tough. Most of the things you would destroy with your removal are creatures in limited, almost always.
Yeah.
War of the Spark being a little exception. But not Guilds of Ravnica. So in this draft, you're only going to see cards from Guilds of Ravnica. And if you take Assassin's Trophy, you're in Golgari now, and that's not usually something you want to do. Whereas being in either red guild is pretty nice.
Yeah, like I would occasionally, in paper, draft Golgari.
Right.
Because people avoided it. And you could wheel some disproportionately good cards.
Yeah, Golgari on paper is better, isn't it? Yeah.
And then you would have, like, if you had all the green-black cards, you were in reasonable shape against the red decks.
Yeah.
If multiple people were fighting over them.
Legit.
Sometimes. But that isn't a thing in Arena.
Right.
Because the bots don't know that Golgari is bad.
Speaking of not a thing on Arena, it's also, you could take, if you're doing this with humans, you could take Lava Coil, and then there's a Beam Splitter Mage, but the only other red card in here is that maximized velocity. So, you can be fairly confident the person to your left is not going to be in red if you take the Lava Coil. At least, you have no idea what they opened, but they're not taking a red card out of this pack.
They might take Beam Slitter Mage.
Maybe, but on Arena, I don't know. I probably just take the Assassin's Trophy, and I'm happy enough being Golgari.
I mean,
or
Assassin's Trophy,
just not playing it.
Assassin's Trophy is great.
Yeah.
So,
See,
thanks, William.
$15 card too. So there you go.
Yeah, so on paper, we didn't mention it, but on paper, you generally always take the Assassin's Trophy because it probably pays for most of your draft. If you're in like a Players Tour or some sort of high-level finals or day 2 of a Grand Prix, I'm back to probably the Lava Coil. Well, unless you, again, so it's a paper draft, so if you just want to be the Golgari, funnel.
Right.
Because I think not a lot of people generally did want that. A lot of people drafting Boros and then kind of Izzet and Dimir were both, because like both the red and both the blue decks were pretty good. And then both the green decks, I think, were kind of at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we don't talk about Selesnya, which is a shame because
I've won drafts like on Arena.
Oh, yeah.
I've done well with both Golgari
like
and
4
Selesnya.
Rosemane Centaurs, and then you're kind of laughing.
There's a way to do it, but it wasn't as easy, certainly. Okay, that was our crackback.
Yeah. So 2020, there's a lot of exciting things coming down the pipe. Remember when it was probably like a month and a half ago, we did an episode where we talked about all the different Commander-related products that are happening? That's very exciting. So they've Mark Rosewater said as much recently that they're like, okay, we've run the numbers, and what everybody thought was true is actually true. And the most popular way to play Magic is Commander. It just is. And that's not surprising because it's great. And so they're like, well, we better make more stuff for Commander then.
Yeah.
And so they have, I don't remember if they have anything specific for Theros, but I know that we were talking about how they have not just the 5 Commander decks that are coming, that are forthcoming, but they also have Commander decks for each set.
Now, is that right? Is it they're doing a run of Commander 2020 this year as well as the ones for each set? I was wondering if one of them was replacing the other. Because every year so far we've gotten, since about 2013, 2014, something like that, every year there's been a release of 4 or 5. It's always been 4 or 5, I think.
Yes.
Pre-constructed 100-card decks with probably 15 or so new cards in them, and you get also like a foil of the Commander, or all
an
of the
oversized
Commanders.
foil. Yeah,
and you get an oversized foil. I think they're foils on the inside too. Usually, the legendary creatures that can be your Commander will be foil on the inside of the box, and you get an outside oversized foil. By the way, if anyone knows what those are for, let us know in the comments. But next year, they're going to have the Commander decks, as you were just saying, attached to the sets. And I think it means we're going to end up with something like 6 or 7 or 9.
So they're doing 5 pre-con decks instead of 4 with 71 new cards, which is more than they've ever done.
That's a lot.
And that is... that's the Commander 2020, but it's being paired with Ikoria Lair of Behemoths.
Okay.
So that's coming out.
So kind of yes and no as answer to my question.
Yeah, so that's coming out on April 24th. So it's still Commander 2020.
Right.
But it's all sort of thematically tied to Ikoria, and it's 5 decks. But then there are also, when Zendikar Rising comes out, there will be Commander decks with Zendikar Rising, and that's 2 decks. It's a new kind of Commander deck, they say. And then there's also going to be the Commander Collection, which we talked about briefly.
Right, we still don't know all the cards in that, do we?
No, but they have. It's like the spell books. It's Commander Collection green.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, they have that art for Yisan, but it doesn't necessarily mean that card is Yisan. And I think I said it looked like Court of Calling.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then
those are kind of the same thing.
Yeah, and then there's also Commander Legends.
So Commander Legends is pretty exciting.
which is the drafting commander.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm not a big Commander player. I've played some Commander, but it's certainly not my favorite format. But Draft more or less is. So the idea of doing a new thing with Draft excites me. I don't know whether I'm going to like it or not, but I definitely want to try it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for novel products.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's something to look forward to.
Oh, right. And then also whatever the other set, there's another main set in 2020 that will also have 2 commander decks
Okay.
that we don't know the name of yet.
Are these taking the place of the 60 card standard decks?
I don't know.
That would be like the starter kind of product?
We don't like the Planeswalker decks or the intro decks.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We just know that
Okay.
these are happening. So yeah, what they announced was April 24th, Commander because normally Commander comes out around like later in the year.
It was near Christmas a few years, but then,
And then,
the last
well,
2 years it
this
was
summer
summer.
was- yeah.
And this is
they moved
back
it to
in-
summer.
This is
Yeah.
back in April now.
Okay, so they keep moving it.
So the 5 decks for Commander 2020 tied to Ikoria is April 24th. Then there are 2 more decks associated with Zendikar Rising. There's the Commander Collection, and then there's 2 more decks with another main set.
They've
in-
just said there'll be 2 more decks at some point next year. Is it
Yeah.
with the 2020 set?
I guess.
Okay.
Or the 20, or I guess Magic, like core set 2021, I guess.
Oh, I see.
This-
Okay, yeah. Sorry,
the
that's what I
graphic-
meant. I meant core set 2021.
Yeah, the graphic just says main set and Commander decks with that main set, but it doesn't have any other information about it.
Right.
Because I guess technically they haven't announced core set 2021.
Right. Maybe
So
they're
we
going to
don't-
call it something else. They've told us it's a core
Yeah.
set that's themed with Teferi, right?
Yes.
they've did
right.
they?
Yes.
I think
yes.
so. That was
yeah, and
another-
everyone was like, "Oh, good,
Good. We haven't
everyone's
had, we
favorite.
haven't had enough.
Everyone's
We
favorite.
haven't had enough of him
Hey
recently.
kids,
Yeah.
we're theming the core set around everyone's favorite planeswalker," and everyone was like, "Liliana,
It's
Teferi."
Yeah.
F. Yeah. And then the command. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, if you're into Commander,
It's a big year.
and who isn't? Statistically, few of you. It's a good year.
If you're
for
into Commander, and statistically you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's sweet.
I mean,
If
yeah,
you're not, then you're a statistical outlier and should not be concerned.
You should be used to not getting your way by
I mean,
now.
I'll say
Yeah.
this: if you look at the Friday night paper fight VODs on this very YouTube channel, if you do disregard the statistical outlier of, say, the $20 LGS challenge, the commander games on Friday night paper fight get more views than any other. Like if you group them by genre.
I had kind of noticed that recently. Actually.
And to be fair, even if you're not a big Commander fan, I know the North 100 guys salivate over every new Commander set. 'cause
Oh, yeah.
there's always
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
They
we're
always-
still excited for the cards.
yeah, they always mess around with stuff in intriguing ways in Commander that can cause a serious impact on the on the Canadian
Highlander
Highlander scene.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't always have to be True Name Nemesis,
Right.
But sometimes it is.
And we're not the only Eternal format for which that's true. Like the Highlander, I think probably cares about Commander cards second most after Commander. But Legacy and Vintage also use these cards, and sometimes they make waves, like with True Name Nemesis or Scavenging Ooze. But yeah, we play cool stuff in Highlander because we've got a bit
Scavenging
more
Ooze from
time.
Commander
Yeah,
originally?
Scavenging Ooze
Originally-
was a commander card.
First Commander deck. Yeah, it was in. I think
Wow.
it was in Riku.
Yeah, I always forget about that. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and then it got reprinted.
I got
in
Riku on my wall
Standard.
at home.
Cool.
Yeah. Because there's 100 cards. So an uncut sheet of a Commander deck, of a Commander Precon, is the entire deck.
Nice.
So yeah, I got that at their. I got the high bid on their Extra Life auction a couple of years ago because it was 3 a.m.
Sweet.
and there wasn't as many people watching. So I was like, yeah, donate to charity, get me a thing, and then it cost like as much, if not slightly more, to get it properly framed. But hey, now I have the entire Riku the Two Reflections deck on my wall at home.
Can we talk about that for a minute?
Sure.
When you win an uncut sheet, what happens? Like you just have to get it framed and put on your wall, right?
Pretty
Yep.
much.
Everyone always asks me because I'm like in my judge uniform and
Yeah.
wandering around the floor, and I never have a good answer for them. But like, does anyone know if you can cut it? Can you ever turn your uncut sheet into Magic cards
there,
you get
there
to
is
play?
the persistent, like, I don't know if it's a rumor or if it's just a well understood thing that most foil miscut vintage legacy staples are just people who got sheets and I don't know
Like
if
the
that's true
early-
or not.
yeah,
but
maybe that's
like
true.
I've always heard that. Like,
The trick is to do it correctly. You'd have to get the right kind of die.
yeah,
Die. You need
Because the rounded corners and everything are fairly specific.
So in this case, the
Okay.
term die meaning it's essentially a giant hole punch.
okay.
That's the right shape. When you have when you have something that's die cut, it means they've made this metal knife in a specific shape.
Right.
You know, like a big cookie
This
cutter.
one,
Yeah.
right?
That in
Yeah.
the case of Magic cards is that exact shape of those exact dimensions.
Okay.
And if you don't have access to that kind of die,
You're not gonna do
It's
it.
gonna look to the to the trained eye and probably most untrained eyes. It's gonna not look right.
yeah. It's not
So-
like you can just take a ruler and a box cutter.
Yeah. So I mean,
It seems exaggerated.
You could probably, with the right tools and patience, you could probably take an uncut sheet and cut it up into playable Magic cards, and
They're genuine.
they are genuine Magic
Right,
cards. So
yeah.
it's like, I guess that's fine. But I mean, really, what you really do is you wait for Michaels to have one of their 50% off framing sales, and then you go in and get them to do it.
I always thought that people, if you've got the uncut sheet and you want to cut it up, you should do like, stars and hearts and circles and interesting shapes.
Snowmen.
Yeah.
It's like then you'd have Magic cards in a totally unique shape that nobody else
Yeah,
has.
fold it
Yeah.
up and then cut snowflakes, and then you're
Yeah, or you
it's
could do the
perfect.
thing where you have like the angel cookie cutter, and then
Yeah.
you cut the head off, and it's Baby Yoda.
Oh my goodness, perfect! That's amazing. So yeah, we
caught up on our memes.
That's Commander, right? That's what we were talking.
Yeah, we're talking
Yeah.
about Commander. So Commander Legends, if we can come back to that one for a second.
Yeah.
We still don't know exactly what it means.
You draft a Commander deck.
Right.
It's got. They
do-
said, I'm sorry, 70.
70 new cards.
No,
new
70 new legendary creatures.
Okay.
70 new legends.
And it's 20 card packs.
20 card packs.
Okay.
Yeah.
With 2 legends guaranteed in every pack.
and tons of reprints.
Okay.
A foil, and 2 legendary creatures in every pack.
Now, a Commander deck typically is 100 cards.
Yeah.
But we haven't been told whether the rules for this format will be to draft a 100 card deck,
Right. Well, you have
including
to
any
like,
number of base.
Presumably you need more than 3 packs then.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe you need more than 3 packs.
Yeah. Do you go in with like, if
Well, you get
the
to add
traditional
basics.
draft is 3
Yeah.
3 packs, then you would need what, 6 or 7?
And you
in
usually
order to
cut
draft,
half that
like-
pool, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. To get to a playable 23,
Yeah.
you draft 45.
And you
so
got-
if you want like a playable 62, 63.
You draft
Yeah.
I feel like you need to draft like 100.
Yeah, you'd probably want. I mean, yeah, you usually draft a little bit more than your deck size, because
Especially
then
if you
throw
have-
away most of them. And
Especially if you have color identity to be worried about.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that I'm less worried about. 'Cause
that
I
would just be a long draft too.
Yeah, because you could
Really
kind
long,
of
yeah.
wind up with. Well, I suppose in draft you can wind up with a completely unplayable deck. But if you like, maybe you get greedy and don't wheel your commander, right?
Yeah, so more than any other draft format, you're probably going to feel like you're on rails if it's the case that you kind of have to like open a pack and then like either first or second pick a legend, because possibly that's what everyone will do at the table.
I want to
Right.
know.
You know,
because then your color identity is locked in.
yeah,
Yeah.
because so then you're locked into your color identity. So then you just go through the rest of the draft, just picking the best cards of those that you can to make a deck. Or maybe you just don't have a commander in pack 1, so you try to kind of stay open. Or you're like, okay, I'm going to be blue red, and then you like hope to get a blue red in the first
And there's enough legends going around.
3
you
or
can kind
4
of
that
snag
you
one.
see, right?
Yeah, like
You know?
what do you take first, Sliv Mizzet or Soul Ring? Right?
Sure.
What also hasn't really been answered, or rather, I guess the information has not yet been volunteered, is how the actual gameplay will work. Whether it will
Right.
be heads up as most typical draft, or like Conspiracy, if a pod of 8 splits into 2 4-player commander pods, which I suspect
would
is more
suspect
likely.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
maybe-
idea,
Which sounds sweet, to be honest.
Yeah, like maybe
That's how
maybe,
conspiracy worked, right?
like
Yeah.
heads up commander has never been a thing really.
Well,
yeah,
there's variants, right?
Like it could be, but like
Yeah.
that's never been something that Wizards has even talked about. Like it's always been at least 4 players.
No.
It's
Wizards
supported
talked
on
about
Nico,
it. It's
right?
they support it. They have it has its own ban list on Magic Online.
Oh really?
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's called Dual Commander,
yeah.
not dual. Sorry, dual.
Yes.
Dual.
Not dual as in 2. duel as in a fight, I think.
Okay.
Maybe I got that backwards, but I know that it has its own, because
Not to be confused with dual standard.
there was one of the Magic community's many teacup storms at some point, I want to say a year and a half ago, when Wizards was like, yes, and this is going to have they're all going to have the same ban list, and people were like, nope, that's bad. And so they went, right, well then they'll have different ban lists, and people went, nope, now it's confusing. And so it's like, different people, I assume, but anyway.
We got there, everyone.
Well, there's the thing with
We've upset everybody. Congratulations.
With Commander, there's all the the cards that are designed for multiplayer formats, and then
Nemesis being the
and then end up sort of being out of whack for when you're playing heads up. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna guess they're not gonna want you to draft more than 3 packs. They do it for 2 at a giant, but
there's like Battle Bond you drafted.
Yeah, for 2 at a giant, you drafted 4 packs for the 2 of you, right? But most of the time, because there's always so much new information coming out of the Magic project.
Sorry, they call it Magic Online Commander 1v1.
Neat.
Carry on.
So because they like to introduce less rules for the sake of like elegance and being able to successfully communicate what their product is to new customers. So it's like, I'm going to guess that you draft 3 packs of this. And then I'm going to guess that your deck size is 50, including your commander, such that you can maybe run 2 drafts and then maybe afterwards just like have a commander deck if you stayed in the same, within the same 3 or 4 colors, right? Maybe if you drafted green, white, and then black, white.
I think that's a fair guess.
That's my guess.
Solid.
I've locked it in. It was in the Called It board halfway through the last episode of TTC of 2019.
My guess is that you buy a booster box and you draft it, the whole thing. Then you build a 400 card deck.
Good guess.
I'll add that to the other list.
We're going to be running one of those at Yellow Jacket whenever the set comes out. Come on down. Booster boxes of Commander Legends, now only $250.
In the realm of standard, I guess, let's sort of rewind to the imminent future, which is
Theros Beyond Death.
Theros, Beyond Death. Or Theros Beyond Death. I don't actually know if there's a colon there
Second
officially.
colon. Elspeth's back.
Theros Beyond Death. Yeah, so we're going back to Theros. That's exciting enough as it is.
Is it too late to buy all my Torbjorns and Cavaliers of Flame? Since we're getting Devotion.
Devotion's coming back.
Who's Torbjorn again? Oh, that's the dwarf.
Torbran.
Torbran. Okay,
Sorry,
that's okay.
Torbjorn's
Torbjorn's a real name.
Torbjorn's the character from Overwatch.
Right.
Oh, cool.
Who's also a dwarf, essentially.
But I guess Grey Merchant of Asphodel wants to go in a deck with Murderous Rider.
Gary.
Probably.
Right? And
Gary now
Cavalier
upshifted.
of Grave, whatever the
They needed
Black
to make
Cavalier
sure that
is, and
Cavalier of Night.
Restless Knight, right? The KN Knight, that one.
Yeah.
4 Golgari mana
Right.
for a 4/2 haste.
oh, that keeps coming back.
And whenever you gain life, you put them back in your hand.
Yikes. Yeah.
Maybe not. That's probably too jank, but I don't know. Gary does love stuff that sits on the battlefield and has lots of pips, obviously.
So Devotion is coming back as a mechanic, which cares about how many pips of the same color you have on the battlefield. And they announced on Christmas, as a present to all of us, that the Grey Merchant of Asphodel, good old Gary, is being reprinted in Theros Beyond Death, now upshifted to uncommon.
Fairly.
That's a fair thing.
It's
Yeah.
better for everyone.
Yeah.
It's like if they upshifted Pack Rat to only Mythic and only if it's foil. That would also have been fair.
Mm-hmm.
Also returning is another of, I want to say, the best 3 mechanics of the entire block, that being Constellation, which is essentially Enchantment Fall.
It is?
Yes.
Constellation's back.
Constellation
Okay, I
is
missed
back,
that.
yeah.
There's an
Excellent,
Enchantress in green as well,
No,
right?
I did see that.
Right, yeah,
Right,
that's-
okay.
Well, that's a reprint, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Well, the Enchantress was in the original.
Cetacean Champion, this one?
Oh, Constellation.
This is the Constellation card that I had seen.
Okay, so 2 and a green for a 1/3 human warrior with Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Cetacean Champion and draw a card. That's very, very good.
I think this is the 3rd best Enchantress ever printed after...
So, because there was an Enchantress in the original in Born of the Gods.
Yeah, she's new.
Right.
Yeah, Cetacean Champion is new, but it was because it was an enchantment creature itself.
It's 4 for a 4
mana.
Journey
yeah.
Index, right? If it was a good card, it was probably in the 1st or 3rd set, unless it was Brimaz or Corsair.
So yeah, Constellation is back. that means enchantment creatures are also back. We haven't seen Bestow. We assume Bestow is not back. We haven't seen Heroic. We assume Heroic is not back. No one's really concerned that Inspired isn't returning. But there is also a new mechanic, which is escape. Right?
Yes.
Because you have to escape the underworld. So the way you get out of Nyx, i.e. your graveyard, is you have to sacrifice some other things. Well, here's an example.
Somebody's got to come back for you.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
Somebody's got to take your place.
And then you have to step on them to get out of the underworld.
Yeah. So here we go with Underworld Rage Hound, which is a 1 and a red for a 3/1 Elemental Hound at common. It attacks each combat if able. And then it has Escape for 3 and a red and exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. They don't have to be creatures, but they do have to be cards. And that means you can cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. Also, I love the way this is templated. Underworld Ragehound escapes with a +1/+1 counter on it. It grabbed a +1/+1 counter and ran out of Nyx.
That is pretty cute.
So yeah, because when the Brawl decks from Theros were on Arena briefly as the Game Awards post-show thing,
right?
There was an Elspeth that's not actually the Elspeth from the set. It's an Elspeth from the Planeswalker deck.
Oh,
and she has Escape as well, which was a little scary.
I didn't know that. So sorry,
I didn't know that was the
4 mana.
Elspeth
Are you
from
sure the 4 mana Elspeth is from the Planeswalker decks and not from the set?
Because Christine Sprankle got to spoil the Elspeth that is in the set.
Oh, great. Well, I follow her, but I missed that.
Yeah.
Show me the Elspeth that is in the set. Ooh.
There you go. Elspeth, Undaunted Hero, 2 white for a 5 loyalty walker, +2, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, -2, search your library and or graveyard for a card named Sunlit Hoplite and put it into the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. -8 until end of turn, creatures you control gain flying and +X, where X is your devotion to white.
Have we seen Sunlit Hoplite yet? Sunlit Hoplite yet?
No.
Classic.
Not that I'm aware. Wait,
classic Oko food token scenario.
Isn't that what Paul just showed off, actually?
Oh, sorry. Was that the 2/4? Maybe.
That enchantment creature? Wasn't that Sunlit Hoplite?
No.
The one that was 1 white?
Okay, well, at first glance, though,
That's Nyxborn Curse.
Nyxborn Courser. Okay.
I mean,
all right. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I got that backwards because there are 254 cards in the set, and that Elspeth was number 270.
Yeah, I was going to say.
All right.
Okay.
So I don't think this one. So probably Christine got to. Oh yeah, yeah. I think this one is from Theros, the one that we got to play in Arena.
Also, that one seemed a little weak.
Correct. So this one is. Sorry.
Yeah,
my bad.
It puts a creature onto the battlefield.
So this is 2 white for a 5 loyalty planeswalker, so they both have 5 loyalty. -1. So this one only has minuses, which is kind of great. So -1, up to 2 target creatures you control each get +2/+1 until end of turn. -2, create 2 1/1 human soldiers. And -3, you gain 5 life. And then she has Escape for 4 white and exile 4 other cards from your graveyard.
So we don't know all of the story of what's going to happen to Elspeth after she escapes from Nyx, right? Like the full Theros story, I think, probably hasn't been released yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
But thematically here, now you can escape as many times as you want during a game of Magic, as long as you've got the mana and cards to exile in your graveyard to pay the escape cost. You can keep casting your creature or planeswalker or whatever it is that has escape. But Elspeth specifically can only tick down. So she's just going to head back to your yard eventually unless the game ends.
Right, which is interesting flavor. Like she gets out of the underworld, but
does some stuff.
Time's up.
Yeah, and then she has to go back, right? Yeah. I wonder if she is going to be able to die on... Is she from Alara? She's from Alara, isn't she?
She is from, as I understand it, a yet unknown plane that was also destroyed by the Phyrexians.
Yes.
Oh.
And then she planeswalked away after being, I think, captured and tortured by the Phyrexians to Bant.
Okay. That's
where
where we
lived
first
a very
see her.
happy life.
Right.
I was saying, Nyx has somewhat of a revolving door policy, it seems like.
I mean, that's the underworld.
Yeah, it's just underground.
Of Greek
right?
myth, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think part of their problem is, one of the things that's escaping is Cerberus, right? Like,
Oh, that
Yeah.
hound, yeah.
yeah.
Who let the dogs out?
Something I find interesting is that just from a lore perspective, is that Elspeth, originally from ? Dies on Theros, goes to the Underworld. Gideon, originally from Theros, dies on Ravnica, goes to the Theros Underworld. That's odd, right?
Yeah.
It's a little inconsistent.
Maybe it has to do with maybe if a god kills you on that plane, you go where they tell you. Maybe this is why she can escape.
Yeah.
I think, Paul, we were talking about this. The gods on Theros are in lore more powerful than planeswalkers. They just can't planeswalk. Like the planeswalkers have that one thing over them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's various exceptions, but the traditional thing is that there is no possible way to planeswalk other than a spark.
Right.
There have been a couple of exceptions with
There's the Eldrazi.
the Weatherlight and the Eldrazi sort of do their own thing and whatever. So there are exceptions, but the idea being that a spark is very hard to come by, and they're very like the whole thing with like Yawgmoth and the Phyrexians are this totally unstoppable destructive force, but they weren't like they couldn't planeswalk, so they were stuck, and then stuff happened.
Oh yeah, speaking of the Phyrexians, there's some rumor, or there's a hint that maybe they're around in Theros, or were at some point, revealed in, or no, so am I thinking the Phyrexians, or there's the Phyrexians and the Eldrazi have both been to Theros through the spoilers, right?
There was one of the Green Sagas, another mechanic that's returning in Theros.
Right, sagas
that makes
back.
reference to the god of, the green-red god of fate, or god of destiny.
Yes.
Binding the Titans.
She's new, yeah.
The Binding of the Titans. And people are like, Titans, those are Eldrazi. And it's like, well, maybe on Theros,
They're just
Titans.
Now,
are
maybe they were just
we
big
do,
things.
Now,
Yeah.
that's the thing, is that we do call the Eldrazi Titans. But
There's also
in Greek myth,
Yeah.
the Titans were the sort of the much more primordial godlike figures that predated the pantheon of the gods of Olympus in this exact way, that the gods that defeated the Titans, their literal parents.
and of course, like there's lots of other Titans in Magic, right?
Yeah.
The Frost Titan and
Yeah.
the Primeval
So
Titan
someone
and all
pointed
that
out
kind of
that
stuff.
there's the card Erebos' Titan
Oh, yeah.
from the previous set that may actually be one of these Titans that
Wait, wasn't
Erebos has kept around.
Wasn't it from a core? It was, I think, from a core set. Right?
Yeah.
That it could. Anytime a player played something from their graveyard, you could bring it back.
Yeah, there's
Like
also
it was implied to be like,
or it gets indestructible or something. This was like a card. Yeah, Erebos' Titan. Thank you, Cameron. I remember
Right.
this card being like considered and talked about seriously as like an option, and I think maybe there was at least it might have top aided like an SDG Open or something once.
And so the question is, does this simply mean? Does the name of this card, is it Erebos' big dude, or is it Erebos'
Like
Titan?
Right,
Capital
member of the
T
race of
Titan.
Titans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from Theros.
There's also Bearer of the Heavens from the first round of Theros sets. I can't remember which set it was from. I think Bearer was either one of the second two.
Oh, the one holding
It's
up
like
the
a
world.
7-mana 10/10, and then when it dies, you have to destroy all the other permanents. Destroy all permanents at the beginning of the next end step. Yeah.
To hold the heavens from the earth is no curse, but a titanic responsibility.
There you go.
all right, lowercase t.
All right, so maybe this card just refers to giants. Certainly
Yeah.
in the Magic official spoiler, they're like teased that maybe it was the Eldrazi, but that might have just been a joke.
I'm pretty sure Atlas was one of the Titans too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of the few that stuck around.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Well,
So
Yeah,
this
was
could be-
not by choice. But
No.
Yeah, like Kronos was another one.
Kronos was the big one,
Yeah,
the big daddy.
Yeah.
but like
Eating his kids.
I also want to, that the Phyrexians were teased because in one of the boss relief images of Elspeth, there is a Phyrexian negator
Right.
menacing her.
Right.
And it was like, negator reprint or Phyrexian obliterator reprint? And it's like, this might just be one of
Historical.
one of Elspeth's memories
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
from when
okay.
she was
Yeah.
battling the Phyrexians.
We will, by the way, I do intend at some point over the course of when Theros is relevant in Standard to do yet another real Greek origins episode for any new references. So yeah, there's a little the Titans thing is a little preview there. I think they're just sort of stirring the pot with that. But I think that it's just that there was the Titans that predated the current pantheon in the same way that there was in our own Greek myth, and it's not the Eldrazi. And I think they're just good. I think they're just sort of poking the bear there a little bit for fun.
Well, it's like, but like even in Magic, there's lots of things called Titans.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not even like that unusual.
No.
It's just another name for giants in the Magic.
No, the Eldrazi Titans are the Eldrazi Titans because they're very big Eldrazi.
Yeah,
But they're not.
Yeah, that's why they're called the Titan. It's just they're not.
They don't have
it's
the
not,
trademark.
It's not a special thing.
They don't have the
Yeah.
trademark on the name Titan. Yeah.
Right. But, maybe in 3 months we'll be like, okay, so the new Eldrazi, erupted out of the Theros underworld in much the same way that Elspeth escaped the underworld, Kozilek and Ulamog returned from the dead on Theros. They've been here this whole time. I don't believe none of us saw this coming. It was really cool and awesome. And
I feel like
anyway, I'm playing Modern now.
I
and
feel like
world's
the
turned upside down.
I feel like the Eldrazi would just like miss a lot of the subtlety in Theros. They'd be just like underworld gods. I don't know. I'm eating.
don't care.
I'm eating
Yeah.
things. I
I'm
don't
just going to turn
understand.
everything into shapes.
Yeah,
I
the
don't care what it
Underworld
is.
was Underworld. Oh, yeah, it was delicious.
Yeah,
Can we go back there? I ate it all.
it's like we had
Can
a
we make
whole
another one?
We had a whole mythology thing we were doing. Like, sorry,
You've got a
Sorry.
new one now.
Speaking of stories, Cam, you wanted to talk a bit about.
Oh, yeah, well, I was just curious about where Magic Story will go.
In 2020.
Yeah, because like discussions about the state of Wizards storytelling aside, what are the big plot threads left? Because we've resolved Nicol Bolas.
Yeah.
We've resolved the Eldrazi Titans, right?
they all seem to be They are all accounted for and dealt with.
Yeah.
I mean, they could easily
For all
show up or
time.
whatever.
I thought the deal with Emrakul is that she like imprisoned herself in the moon. Really.
Yeah.
For all time.
Okay, so the Eldrazi could show back up at a moment's
any
notice.
moment,
Well,
any
Emrakul
moment's
could.
notice.
Okay, at least Emrakul.
Yeah.
But you brought up the Phyrexians, which are
Right.
the like big unresolved thing where
Yeah, we haven't seen them in a long time. They took
Yeah.
over that whole plane.
Yeah, and Elish Norn had kind of defeated the other praetors to establish like supremacy
Right.
over New Phyrexia, and it seemed to imply that she had realized that planes were a thing,
Right.
that they had emerged ex nihilo from well, not quite ex nihilo, but like without a sense of identity, and realized that they were Phyrexians, and then realized that maybe this world wasn't the only one, and maybe those other worlds would also be good.
Oh,
Delicious.
And then-
Yummy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Those
and then
ones
like
will
that
also be
was what,
delicious.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a plot thread that we should probably go back to fairly soon.
There's another plot thread that's possible that local Magic sometimes participant here, Allison, told me about from reading the storyline where Karn, like he was like at one point the sorcerer, the like communicator of the Phyrexian oil, right? And so he had like been around all these planes, and
right.
he was like leaky with this oil before it completely corrupted him. There was like some of it on him, and so what happened to Mirrodin could have happened to any other plane where Karn had visited. So
Right.
that's another way that they could introduce the Phyrexians if they didn't want to go back to
Yeah, as
Mirrodin,
it turns out,
right?
any plane we have not been to,
could be Phyrexia.
yeah, it could be Phyrexia, and just like a totally like new fork.
Right.
Well,
of
and
Phyrexia.
I mean, it'd also be super.
Lorwyn, please.
It would be super neat for like the new Phyrexian, Phyrexia to, encounter the old. I mean, I guess it is the like Yawgmoth and all that presumably is
I think
gone
they got
away.
blowed up totally.
Yeah.
So the stuff dripping from Karn is the last bit, but
And I mean,
Karn is just a walking ecological disaster apparently.
beyond just the content of where these of what they will do story wise. I'm curious of the mechanics of how that
it gets communicated.
Because they've said that for Theros there's no novelizations.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like web books or
Those
whatever.
web books were like kind of well received.
Are they?
I thought.
They're not even doing like articles,
As
or,
far
or
as,
like big.
as far as we know, they aren't. And so
flavor text only.
as far as we know, the only way that the plot, or the story of Theros is getting across is on the cards, both the art and the flavor text and the flavor of the cards, and these little sort of blurbs that are coming out with the preview cards. Because you'll see that when the preview cards are being spoiled, there's the card and a little text blurb associated with each one, and that's it.
Yeah.
And
Well, we do have a Netflix show that's promised to us at some point, right?
yeah, but I don't know if it's going to answer these questions.
That's fair.
right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like I'm curious where we're at with that.
There's just going to be flavor text that's just like, Elspeth has killed me, and then just like quote
Guy's
from
name.
Yeah.
quote from this person.
I
It's
mean,
like,
yeah.
okay,
Maybe
I guess.
we're in for a year of small stories.
All right, I've been told before not to shout at people to shout on Twitter, so I won't do that. But I want to remark that, you know, the things happened this year with the books that nobody liked.
Yeah.
And everybody, and you know, there was a whole chapter about it. And if there just isn't enough story, I'm imagining, like, if something just doesn't happen that you're kind of expecting, it doesn't create the same kind of visceral reaction from people unless, you know, someone or whatever, somebody like leads the torch, or leads the torch bearing mob to say like, hey, we need lore somehow, you know, like pay your writers and get them to tell us what's going on the plane.
You just have to, don't like incite a mob. You just like, won't someone rid me of this loathsome lack of lore?
Right.
And then,
Oh, actually,
I see what he did there.
yeah.
sorry. I was just looking at the stuff about the Underworld of Theros.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Which is wait.
We're waiting.
Ilsia? It's not Nyx.
Well, no, because Nyx is the
Star
Realm of the Gods,
Starfield.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is explicitly thousands of years ago, gods waged war against Titans, their predecessors. Victorious, the gods sealed the Titans in the Underworld. Would they be freed, it would inflict unspeakable horrors on Theros. So that's like already locked in.
Oh,
Cool.
Okay, well, I mean, good thing they'll never get out.
Of
Yes.
course.
Good.
No one can possibly get out of the Underworld.
Yeah.
Thanks, Elspeth.
Looking forward to
Yeah.
Giants.
It's not
with
like
Escape.
it's not like it's a whole mechanic or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be like their new ARG. We'll be walking around and you'll see like a Titan on your phone, and you have to go and like
Right.
Nice.
throw Pokeballs at it.
Until it escapes.
Yeah.
All right. So you're looking forward to Commander products. You're looking forward to finding out what the lore is. Hopefully,
Yeah. I
you'll
mean-
get an answer. You'll definitely get Commander products.
So, like, my brief sort of feelings on the standard sets that we know are coming is Theros. I'm just excited to go back to Theros, and I'm glad that Constellation and Devotion are coming back. I think those are interesting mechanics, and Escape also looks cool. I guess, like, you couldn't also fit Heroic and Monstrous and Bestow and all that stuff into the set as well, even though I also thought those were cool. Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths, don't know anything about it. What does Lair of Behemoths mean? I'm excited to find out. And then Zendikar Rising, I feel like, just from the name, this is Wizards taking an opportunity to sort of right the ship Zendikar wise.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
And turn it, but when it's rising, it's like it implies recovery after the Eldrazi invasion and everything, and having it sort of a return, I hope, a return to the D&D inspired adventure world that it originally was, where it's, it's lush and bountiful, and there's quests and things you can go and do. And
hey, Stomping Ground will have just rotated out, so they can reprint Arid Mesa if they want to. Hooray!
So-
But they won't
No,
because
no.
Pioneer.
Yeah, they've literally said
Yeah.
not reprinting fetches in a standard legal set.
No,
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah, I was kidding.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm excited
But,
about
like,
all
for the
that.
benefit of chat.
No, for sure, for
the
sure.
audience,
That
not
was
chat.
a deep magic nerd joke or whatever. So, okay, but I wanted to recap what you've both said you're excited about. I'm excited to see what this year unveils in terms of the broken cards that they've told us they're going to make. We're still at Wizards R&D using this cool fire philosophy that's brought us all kinds of great cards that aren't even any points yet in Canadian Highlander, but have been banned out of lots of different formats of 60 card Magic, such as, and actually Channel Firepaw has put together a great like in memoriam video, so you can search that on Twitter. But yeah, like Oko and Ren and Six, Once Upon a Time, Veil of Summer. We've talked about them lots on this podcast already.
The joke is Veil of Summer has been spoiled from Theros.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yes.
It's just reprinted? Well, it's
Whoops.
but it's
At least I've seen art of it.
oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I've forgotten whether Veil of Summer is banned in Standard or not. Is it banned in Standard? I forget.
It is.
Okay, yeah.
Standard,
it was-
Pioneer, and Historic.
I knew it was banned in Pioneer.
Did I dream that? I swear this.
That'd be
honestly
fantastic.
happened.
They often do that. They often put the same uncommon in multiple sets across, or commons in multiple sets across the same Standard format. Like recently, we've had Opt in like every other set.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what did they do in 2019? They gave us. Okay, so this is an example of like a really cheap one that turns off a whole swath of strategies. Teferi Time Raveler also fits into that. They've also given us really cheap, really powerful planeswalkers. Like Teferi Time Raveler, Ren and Six, and Oko all kind of feel about as strong as if they cost one more mana. Maybe two, even. Or like one more mana and it could have one less loyalty or something like that. So we've got pushed mana costs. We've got cards that like invalidate whole swaths of decks. And then they also printed Once Upon a Time, which is like an alternate free cost. So that's like, again, with the mana cost where you just get more, you can get more things happening earlier in the game, the cheaper your cards are. So I'm hoping that in 2020, this is what I look forward to. I hope that they continue to make cards that are, fun, interesting, replayable, and exciting, but that aren't necessarily busted for the same reasons. Like even if they do end up having to correct Modern, Pioneer, Standard, even Legacy with bans, I'm hoping that they'll give us cards that are broken and unfair for different reasons. Maybe they'll be, I don't know, extremely flexible, but actually cost 2 mana, or maybe they'll be extremely powerful but also expensive. Or maybe they'll require like a great cost in terms of your life, or only be playable within a certain strategy that is kind of weak otherwise, like a multicolored card, that sort of thing. And I'm sure that's a tough nut to crack, and I'm sure that is what they want to deliver. They probably want to deliver powerful cards that are different than the other powerful cards they've created. That's usually what we see throughout a year of Magic. But I'm particularly looking forward to this one because, they made all these bans last year, and then they had when they banned, I think it was when they banned Oko from Standard, they released an article explaining it, because that was a tough decision to make.
Yeah.
Oko was a poster boy, right?
Yeah.
So they don't usually like to ban cards like that. So they came out and said, we had to do it for these reasons, and also we're continuing with our philosophy, and we're looking forward to showing you what we've got for you next year. So I'm hoping it's not just like more of the same, where it'll be kind of easy to predict, like, oh, they printed this new Ashiok, and like they're going to have to ban that in a month.
Right. Where they're just like, turns out we're unbanning Oko because we printed Force of Will.
Yeah,
in Standard.
exactly. I don't anticipate that, but I also am hoping that and Oko, I mean, to be fair, from his first spoiler, we didn't even know what a food token was, so not everyone could figure it out right away. But not everybody caught on that, this is totally broken and will be a 4 of in every format until they ban it. So I'm looking forward to that. That always happens in spoiler season, but I'm hoping it takes even longer. And for Canadian Highlander purposes, of course, I'm very much looking forward to playing with these cards.
Yeah, more powerful cards is good for Highlander.
Yeah, it's great for Highlander. But yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of like being surprised by the way that a card is fun and exciting.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, yeah.
It's kind of an
absolutely.
abstract idea. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for in 2020.
Cool. So yeah, generally speaking, we're excited about it, I suppose. And I mean, it's it's Magic. It's the best game. So I'm looking forward to playing more of it. Next time we'll be talking about other different things.
Yeah, we got a podcast next week.
Yeah, you had some arena thoughts you wanted to talk about. We didn't have time to get to.
Oh, that's
today.
right. Yeah,
and there's always more things happening.
Yeah.
So
well, next week we'll probably just talk about spoilers
probably
because there'll be a lot of them, and like the week after that is the PPR, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, next week's correct. Yes.
By the
PPR
time
is
this goes up next week.
January 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's coming.
January 10th. Friday, January 10th is the Theros Beyond Death pre-release. And by the time you're hearing this, it will have already been announced. So our guests are Nadine, a.k.a. Nissa Cosplay, Magic Commentator, Alias V, Krim, the Asian Avenger, and back from Wizards of the Coast, Melissa DeTora. Very excited for that squad of folks.
Super stoked for this PPR.
It's going to be a really, really good time. So...
And then, we're going to burn the place down. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, please, we don't. We still have years on this lease.
I meant it metaphorically, but also literally. No, the other way.
Yes.
After we burn the place down, we're going to need some help from cardkingdom.com. Visit cardkingdom.com and then type in /LRR because we need them to know that we sent you there.
Yes.
That's segue.
Need it.
Yes.
Like butter.
And ask for a button. It says you're once upon a timing wrong. Also, everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. So until next time, that's been Nelson.
Bye.
That's been Cameron. I've been Graham. Paul's on tech. Heather gets these online. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time.